door closes in front of you, what is really being closed? When the door closes in front of you, what is really being closed? Is it the path, or is it the image you created of how that path was supposed to be? Is it the opportunity, or is it a silent expectation you nurtured for months, maybe even for years? There are doors that close with noise, almost violently, but there are others that close in silence, slowly, as if they wanted to test your faith without anyone noticing. And it is in that silence that the mind begins to speak too loudly. Maybe you know this feeling. You apply for a job and receive a no. You invest time in a relationship and it ends. You dedicate energy to a project and it simply does not prosper. And then, without realizing it, the question begins to echo inside. What is wrong with me? That question does not come shouting. It comes whispering. It slips into your thoughts before you fall asleep. It weighs on your chest when you wake up. And little by little, the closed door stops being just an external circumstance and begins to feel like a personal rejection. There is a very specific pain in trying multiple times and not seeing results. It is not just frustration, it is a tiredness that accumulates in the body. The shoulders grow more tense. The breathing becomes shorter. The heart becomes more vigilant. Neuroscience explains that when we are rejected, the brain activates the same areas associated with physical pain. The amygdala fires an alert. The body shifts into defense. And in that state, everything feels like a threat. Everything feels like confirmation that we are falling behind. But not every closed door is rejection. Some are realignment. Some are protection. Some are redirection. The problem is that when the door closes, we rarely hear the explanation. What we hear is silence, and silence can be interpreted as abandonment. This is where many begin to think that God is distant, that maybe they have not prayed enough, that maybe they are not worthy, that maybe they have failed spiritually. But what if the closed door is not a sign of divine rejection? What if it is, in fact, an invisible repositioning, something your eyes still cannot see, but that is already being adjusted within a plan you do not control? Psalm 24 begins in a curious way. It does not begin by asking. It does not begin by begging for an opening. It begins by declaring, "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it." Before speaking about doors, it speaks about sovereignty. Before speaking about access, it speaks about authority. It is as if it were saying, "Calm your heart, because the one who governs the paths has not lost control." When you pray this psalm, you are not trying to convince God to open something. You are reminding your soul who truly sustains all things. Maybe the issue was never about forcing the door. Maybe the issue is becoming compatible with what is on the other side. Think about a key. The right key does not break in. It does not fight the lock. It fits. It turns with precision. When it does not fit, it is not because the key is useless. It is because it is not that lock. Insisting, forcing, turning with anger only wears down the metal. And many times, we are doing that with our own lives, trying to force access that does not match who we are becoming. There is also a deep benefit in praying Psalm 24 that goes beyond external circumstances. It does not only speak about gates being lifted, it speaks about clean hands, a pure heart, an inner posture. It begins by aligning character before releasing access. And that is liberating because it shifts the focus. It is no longer about chasing every opportunity. It is about strengthening who you are. It is not about proving your worth. It is about sustaining your identity. Maybe today you are tired of closed doors, tired of waiting, tired of trying to understand. And it is completely okay to acknowledge that. It is completely okay to admit that it hurts. The pain makes sense. The frustration makes sense. But maybe, just maybe, what is being closed is not your future. Maybe what is being closed is a path that would not be able to sustain the weight of your true calling. Maybe a route is being closed that seemed urgent but was not essential. Breathe now, slowly. Notice your body as you breathe. Feel the air entering, filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Feel the air leaving, carrying away the accumulated tension. Repeat silently. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. You are not the one sustaining the world. You are not the one who needs to open every door. There is a greater sovereignty at work, even when you do not understand. And what if the door that closed is not a period, but a comma? What if it is not saying, you can't, but not this way? Before concluding that something is wrong with you, allow yourself to consider that something may be being adjusted for you. Not every closed door is punishment. Not every wait is delay. Not every silence is absence. Sometimes what is being closed is simply a version of you that was still trying to enter out of fear. And what is being prepared requires a steadier, more conscious, more aligned identity. So the question is not only, why did the door close? The question is, who am I becoming while it remains closed? There is a kind of frustration that does not scream, but weighs heavily. It accumulates like invisible dust over the soul. Each attempt that does not work out seems small in isolation, but together they build a dangerous narrative. I'm behind. Everyone is moving ahead. Something is wrong with me. And when you begin to compare yourself, the pain intensifies. Because you're not just dealing with a closed door, you're dealing with the feeling of falling behind. Comparison is almost automatic. The mind observes the progress of others and turns it into a measure of your own worth. But the human brain interprets rejection as a real threat. The same region activated when you touch something hot is also activated when you are excluded, ignored, or rejected. The amygdala goes on alert. The body prepares for defense. In that state, you're not discerning spiritually. You're simply trying to survive emotionally. And when we are in defense mode, any closed door feels like a definitive blockage. But what if not every closed door is a blockage? What if some are course correction? There is a profound difference between being prevented and being redirected. When you interpret everything as blockage, you go to war with reality. When you consider the possibility of corrected direction, something inside you relaxes. Not every no is rejection. Some are protection. Some are maturity being built in the invisible. There is also a difficult but liberating truth. Sometimes the door closes because the identity trying to enter is still being driven by need, not by calling. The need to prove your worth, the need to be seen, the need to feel sufficient. And when motivation is born from lack, the energy we carry is urgency, not purpose. The right door does not open to prove that you are capable. It opens to express who you have already become. That is why, before praying for something to open, it may be necessary to ask a silent and honest question. Am I seeking validation, or am I responding to a purpose? That question may be uncomfortable. It may reveal motivations you would rather not see, but it also brings clarity. and clarity calms the heart. Many times we try to open old doors with the key of anxiety. We turn it with force. We insist. We try again and again. But anxiety is not a key. Anxiety is friction. It is like turning in the wrong direction. The more force you apply, the more wear you create. Not because you are weak, but because that is not how you access what has been prepared for you. Maybe the delay you feel is not delay. Maybe it is alignment. Maybe it is God adjusting details you cannot see. Maybe it is your own character being strengthened to sustain something greater. Because open doors without inner structure generate weight, not blessing. And what looks like delay may actually be construction. Breathe again. Notice how your body reacts when you think about the doors that have closed. Is there tension? Is there shame? Is there anger? Allow yourself to feel without spiritualizing too quickly. Pain needs to be acknowledged before it is reframed. Spiritual maturity is not pretending it does not hurt. It is feeling the pain and still choosing to trust. You are not being punished. You may be being directed, and corrected direction is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of care. Sometimes the path that seemed perfect was simply familiar, and God is not interested only in what is familiar. He is interested in what is aligned. So before concluding that everything is blocked, allow yourself to consider, what if I am not stuck, but being repositioned? There is a delicate moment in the spiritual journey when we begin to desire the promises, but avoid examining the intentions. We want the door open, but we do not want to look within. We want the answer, but we do not want the transformation. And this is not wickedness. It is human. When we are tired, we want relief, not analysis. But Psalm 24 asks a profound question before speaking of doors. Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? That question is not exclusion. It is preparation. It answers, the one who has clean hands and a pure heart. And here, it is important to understand with maturity. This is not external moralism. It is not perfection. It is not religious rigidity. Clean hands speak of consistent actions. A pure heart speaks of aligned intention. It is about inner integrity. It is about not living divided. It is about not asking for one thing while the heart desires another. Many times we want blessings that confirm an image, not a purpose. We pray to appear strong, not to be transformed. We create a performative spirituality where we speak beautifully, quote verses, display faith, but avoid confronting our deepest fears. And God is not impressed by performance. He works with truth. That is why, before asking for the door to open, it may be necessary to ask, are my hands clean? Is my heart aligned? Where am I acting out of fear? Where am I reacting out of pride? Where am I comparing instead of trusting? This examination is not to generate guilt. It is to generate clarity, and clarity brings peace. Tall doors require upright posture. You do not pass through a high portal, bent over by guilt or pretense. You must lift your head, sustain who you are, not with arrogance, but with integrity. When character is strengthened, access becomes consequence, not obsession. There is an almost imperceptible rush inside many hearts, a constant urgency to solve tomorrow today, to secure the future now. Anxiety, many times, is not lack of faith. It is excess attempt at control. It is the body trying to manage time that belongs to God. From an emotional standpoint, when we live in constant expectation, the brain releases dopamine, anticipating reward. This creates a sensation of excitement mixed with tension, and when the reward does not come, the system enters frustration. This chemical roller coaster generates chronic impatience, and impatience does not combine with spiritual discernment. There is a counterintuitive revelation here. Insisting too much that the door open may reinforce its closure. Because the energy of insistence is not trust, it is desperation. And doors destined for your maturation do not respond to desperation. They respond to alignment. So try something simple now. Take a deep breath. Hold the air for a few seconds. Release it slowly. And as you breathe, declare in a low voice, "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it." You feel the effect of that phrase in your body. It returns control to the one who truly holds it. It removes the weight from your shoulders. Knocking repeatedly on a door does not speed up the one on the other side. It only reveals anxiety, and prolonged anxiety drains vital energy. Sometimes the most spiritual movement is not to knock again. It is to step back, to breathe, to trust. After many rejections, any opening feels like a miracle. And that is where a silent danger lives. When we are afraid of falling behind, we accept almost any opportunity, not because it is aligned, but because it relieves the feeling of rejection. Not every opportunity is a divine answer. Some are distractions. Some are shortcuts that look like solutions, but charge an invisible price later. There are rushed decisions that bring initial euphoria and later emotional reconstruction. And that reconstruction is exhausting. Ask yourself honestly, does this door require me to negotiate my values? Does it require me to silence my conscience? Does it require me to shrink who I am in order to fit? If the answer is yes, it may not be a door of growth. It may simply be a door of movement. Some doors are like revolving doors. You enter, exit, spin, move, but remain in the same place. Movement is not progress. Activity is not purpose. And God is not in a hurry to put you in motion. He is interested in placing you in alignment. Prayer to open doors without losing your soul. Praying is not repeating beautiful words. It is assuming inner posture. Psalm 24 teaches us a powerful sequence. First acknowledge sovereignty, then examine the heart, then declare trust. That order changes everything. Try praying like this. Lord, close what diminishes me, open what matures me. Close what feeds my ego, open what strengthens my character. Close what is urgent, open what is eternal. Notice that this prayer does not try to control God. It surrenders. When you pray this way, something happens before any external evidence. Peace arrives before the answer. And that peace is a sign of alignment. Because when the interior becomes quiet, the exterior loses the power to destabilize. Prayer is like adjusting a lens. The landscape remains the same, but the vision becomes clearer. And with clear vision, you do not need to run. You walk with confidence. Why some doors only open after silence? We live speaking too much, deciding too much, reacting too much. The mind creates scenarios. The heart responds impulsively. The body tenses, and in that constant noise, spiritual perception becomes muffled. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. When you reduce external and internal noise, you begin to perceive nuances that previously went unnoticed. The absence of an immediate answer is not abandonment. It is maturation. Perhaps it is necessary to establish a small ritual. For 7 days, before any important decision, pray Psalm 24 slowly, not as a formula, but as alignment. Read it in a low voice. Breathe between the verses. Allow the words to reorganize your thoughts, like eyes adjusting to the dark. Direction begins to appear when you stop forcing artificial light. Not every answer needs to be immediate. Some need to mature in silence. The fatal mistake of those who try to force recognition. There is an old pain in many hearts, the need to be seen, to be recognized, to be valued. And when that wound is not healed, we begin to seek doors that validate our worth, not because they are our calling, but because they confirm our importance. But God does not open doors to prove your worth. Your worth was already established in your existence. He opens doors to express your calling. And calling is not about applause. It is about contribution. Observe honestly. Where are you trying to convince people instead of developing competence? Where are you seeking approval instead of growth? Knocking on the wrong doors can delay the meeting with the right one, not because God is punishing, but because your energy is scattered. Subtle signs that a door is being prepared. When a divine door is being prepared, there is rarely spectacle. It is not uncontrolled euphoria. It is progressive clarity. Small, coherent confirmations begin to arise. Conversations make sense. Ideas align. People appear without you having to manipulate. There is a strange peace that does not depend on an immediate answer. You have not yet crossed the door, but you're no longer desperate. That is maturity. That is trust. In agriculture, before the visible harvest, there is invisible root being strengthened. No one celebrates the root. No one applauds underground growth, but that is where the structure is being built. If the root is deep, the fruit will be sustainable. Mental model to transmute rejection into redirection. When a door closes, allow yourself to feel the pain. Do not spiritualize too quickly. Do not immediately say, it's protection, if it still hurts. Feel it. Breathe. Acknowledge it. Then ask calmly, what does this door reveal about my motivations? Did I want purpose or validation? Did I want growth or recognition? Next, declare Psalm 24 as identity alignment. Remember who governs. Remember who you are. Spiritual maturity is sustaining frustration without abandoning faith. Rails change the destination of a train without it immediately noticing. The shift is subtle, but the final destination is completely different. When God opens, there is no competition. Comparison is a silent trap. Seeing others advance can generate a feeling of scarcity, as if there were few doors and everyone were competing for the same one. But divine doors do not operate by scarcity. They are designated. A door custom made does not fit another wall. What is yours will not be occupied by another. What belongs to another does not need to be desired by you. While the door does not move, develop character, strengthen skills, deepen roots, because when it opens, you will need to be prepared to remain. Psalm 24 ends with a powerful image, ancient gates being lifted so that the King of Glory may enter. It is not merely opening, it is lifting, it is enlarging, it is transforming the structure. Perhaps the door you are waiting for does not only need to unlock, perhaps it needs to be raised, rebuilt, expanded. And in that process, you are also being rebuilt. The greatest miracle is not the open door. It is the transformation of the one who waits before it. It is the heart that learns to trust. It is the mind that learns to rest. It is the character that is strengthened in silence. The true benefit of praying, Psalm 24, is not manipulating circumstances. It is repositioning the interior. It is acquiring clean courage. It is sustaining balanced spiritual authority. So, continue praying, continue aligning, continue breathing, not as one who begs, but as one who trusts. And if the door that is closed today is only preparing you for something that requires stronger, more conscious, more upright version of yourself, are you willing to become that person while you wait? You are not alone. There is a presence sustaining you now, and the right door, at the right time, will be lifted.